Afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our panel discussion today. I am incredibly excited that you guys are all here and that you've joined us. I'm so excited for our panel today. My name is Amy Bain, and I am the Senior Director of Data here at tnAchieves. I've been with the organization for about 8.5 years, and one of my favorite parts of this job is being able to talk with our students, our mentors, our community partners, and we have a sample of those on the call with us today. Just a really quick housekeeping note for those of you listening in on the panel. After the discussion, we're going to have time for question and answers. So you'll see at the bottom of your Zoom that there is a Q&A box. So feel free at any time to type in those questions. And once we've gone through our panel discussion, we will take time to answer those. So if you have questions for tnAchieves, Tennessee Promise, or any of our panelists, please feel free to share those. Before I jump in and have everybody introduce themselves, for this year, and especially for the last few months, tnAchieves has really done a deep dive into why our students are going to college and why their parents, their mentors, their family members want them to get additional education. And we're also looking at our mentors and our community partners. Why was education important to them? And so as we've talked to our students, their parents, our mentors, and our business partners, we have found some common themes. And each month we're exploring these common things among people's why for going to college. And last month, we really dug into breaking family cycles. A lot of our students are first in their family to go to college, and they want to be that example to their younger siblings, their cousins, maybe even their parents, to get back into college. And this month, we're looking at the opportunities that higher education can bring. And so our theme for this month is better opportunities, brighter future. And so our panelists today represent both students, mentors, community members who have found those opportunities and the potential that can come from higher education. And so I would like all of our panelists to take just a couple minutes to introduce yourself, tell us your name, where you're from, where you went to college, and what you do now. And Mark, would you like to kick us off?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I'm excited to be here, and I really do appreciate Amy, you and the team inviting us to be a part, of the dialogue and take part in this webinar. So my name is Mark Hart. I am a native of Memphis, Tennessee, and grew up here and went to school here locally. I graduated from the University of Memphis with a degree in finance, went on to attend Christian Brothers University for an MBA. I'm currently serving as general manager for Convergent Technologies for Memphis and West Tennessee. That keeps me pretty busy. I have a family, my wife, Tanya, and 2 kids, one who's a senior this year also. So we're going through a lot of the things that the folks on this call are experiencing right now. We are also within the Hart household.
Awesome, thank you. Lindsay.
Good afternoon, I'm Lindsay Freeling. I am in Union City, Tennessee, which is up in the northwest corner of the state. Born and raised here, graduate of the University of Tennessee at Martin. Also spent a couple of years at the University of Memphis. Mark, in your area. As I was saying earlier, changed my majors a few times. Some days at my age still think I may need to change my major again, so it happens. But love what I do. I work as the CEO of the Joint Economic Development Corporation. We do economic development, Chamber of Commerce activities, and tourism. I've been here nearly 12 years, and I just love serving my community and working with young people as well. So thank you for the opportunity to be here today.
Awesome. Well, we're excited to have you. And now our 2 students. Cassie, why don't you go ahead and jump in and introduce yourself?
Hey y'all, I'm Cassie Fisher. I am currently in Cary, North Carolina, so I used to live in Tennessee and then I had moved. I attended Southwest Tennessee Community College for my first 2 years, and then I was able to transfer to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, which is where I am at now. I'm majoring in a Bachelor's of Arts in Management Society, and then I recently just got accepted into the University of Virginia to pursue my master's in management.
Awesome. Well, congratulations, Cassie. That's huge news. That's awesome.
Thank you.
And Alleigh, will you round us off?
Hello, everyone. My name is Alleigh Bankus. I live in Dixon, Tennessee, lived here my whole life, just about 45 minutes outside of Nashville, so I'm relatively close. I am at Nashville State right now. This is my last semester at Nashville State, so my last semester using tnAchieves and my Tennessee Promise. Using tnAchieves has helped me so much. I've got big plans to transfer to Clarksville, to go to Austin Peay in the fall. So I'm really excited about that. And I will be majoring in middle school education.
That's great. Well, thank you all again for being here. I'm really excited. Lindsay, when you said you still are thinking of changing your major, that made me laugh. When I was in school, I was sharing with the group earlier, I think I changed my major about 4 times, and I went to 3 different colleges before I earned my bachelor's degree. So I understand that uncertainty and maybe not being quite sure of what you want to major in. And we talk to so many people who don't work in the field of the degree that they hold. And so it's pretty common. And I think it's really interesting to hear people in that situation and hear from students who aren't sure what they want to do, but still value education and still recognize the importance of earning that degree. And I think back to when I was going to school and making the decisions, Mark, that your son is making right now. For me, education was always important. I always wanted to go to college. Most of the people in my graduating class, their plans were to go to college. So it was sort of the logical next step. Neither of my parents completed college, but my sister did, my older sister did. So it seemed like the logical next step. And for me, my motivation was, regardless of what I get a degree in and what I want to do, I just want to help people. I don't know what that looks like, but I want to help people. And ultimately, it has worked out great because I'm able to work with tnAchieves and partner with so many incredible and amazing people across the state doing incredible things. But as I was making those decisions and sort of bouncing around, that core motivation stayed the same. And so I would love to hear from you guys why you went to college, and for Alleigh and Cassie, why are you going to college? What are your motivations for that? Alleigh, would you like to jump in?
Sure. Well, like I said, since I was in probably elementary school, I knew that I wanted to teach. A little background on myself, I was terrible at math in 3rd grade, awful. I mean, I had no hope for myself. And through the process of getting help from my teachers and having like tutoring lessons, I was like, I could probably do this for other kids, because I realized how much teaching helped myself. So I know firsthand how much it helps students. So, you know, my first step in reaching that goal is college. So, like I said, with tnAchieves and Tennessee Promise, I was able to start off with my first 2 years free. And Austin Peay and Nashville State have a partnership, so I will be able to transfer easy. But my biggest motivation for college is to better myself. By pushing my limits and, you know, helping myself do better in school, I feel like I'm bettering myself. So that's one of the main reasons.
That's awesome. I love hearing that. And I love that your experience in grade school shaped what you wanted to do and helped your motivation for college and shaped your vision for that. I think that's incredible. I love hearing that. Cassie, how about you?
I would completely agree with Alleigh. I think another thing that my motivation has been is my family. And also kind of what you were saying, Amy, it's always been kind of like a norm, I'd say. Everyone around me, they've been to college. My parents, they have been able to complete their college education. So they really help support me, and having those people know kind of like what to go through and what to expect, even though it does change. And then also kind of what Alleigh said, just bettering myself, pushing myself to my limits, and just knowing that even if I don't end up doing what I majored in, I know that I have that backup plan. So yeah.
That's great. I love hearing from that. All right. And so Lindsay and Mark, whoever would like to jump in, we'd love to hear what your motivation was for college.
Mark, how about
Go
you?
ahead, Lindsay. You first.
Okay. Well, really and truly, if anybody's known me for very long, I'm kind of a nerd. I like to study and I like to learn. So I really think a lot of my motivation was just to keep learning. Really, my parents graduated high school, but neither one of them went to a four-year university. My dad did after serving some time in his time in the Air Force, went to the Tennessee College of Applied Technology years and years ago. Didn't use that degree for anything. He worked in a local factory as I was growing up, and it's kind of like lots of people's stories. Alleigh, kudos to you for knowing at such a young age what you wanted to do. I think more of mine was eliminating things I didn't want to do throughout my life. So I guess part of my advice that I wish I would have had a better opportunity was to work when I was younger. To be able to eliminate some possible careers or things that I didn't want to do. I mean, I ended up getting an undergrad degree in information technology and business, and then got an MBA, and working in community and economic development, neither of which, I mean, I do have to reboot my computer occasionally, but no hardcore IT stuff anymore. But I am glad to have that background. I mean, an education is something nobody can ever take away from you. So at the end of the day, even if you don't know what you're going to do, get it. If you can't decide, get a degree in business, because everything comes back to being able to navigate financial statements, whether it's personally or professionally. You can always use some element of a business degree if you really are having a hard time deciding what you'd like to do in life. So, eliminate some careers if nothing else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will be your example of a person who hit many, many roadblocks early on and had to pivot and really think through things. I had, I guess, as in high school, had one thing in my mind that I thought, one path that I thought I would follow, and it involved the military. I was I was involved in ROTC and some other things, and my path was gonna be joining the military, and went down that path, and due to some health issues, wasn't able to do that. So I reached a sort of a roadblock and was really panicked and thinking, what am I gonna do? And in my family, I was the first to attend and graduate college. So I didn't have, like, inside of the family, a lot of support and like pointing me in directions. But the one thing that happened for me is I had a circle of mentors from early on who were outside of the family, who helped to really course correct, so to speak, and point me in a direction. And that is really what helped at the core to motivate me to get up and go and to make that decision. I actually started out at college at what was then State Technical Institute. That'll tell you a little bit about how old I am, right? In Memphis. So I started out there on a technical track, wanted to learn more about electronics, and that grew into some things and some other things, and ended up with me really developing this curiosity for learning. So part of what motivated me was fear and really not knowing what was coming next, if I'm being candid with you. But that fear really morphed into a plan. And so I want to encourage everyone here, if you're feeling like right now you don't know exactly, sort of what the next steps are, lean into those folks who are closest to you and listen to those strong, positive voices around you, and use that sort of help, to help guide your path. It works out when you do that.
Thank you for sharing that, Mark. I think that's really powerful what you said, that you were motivated by fear, but you were able to turn that fear into a plan. And ultimately, you've gotten to where you are because you didn't just give up when you hit those roadblocks, and you worked through that fear. You found that support in your community, in your mentors, to get to the point where you had those degrees. And you mentioned that you're the first in your family to get your college. As I understand it, you have advanced degrees. Talk about the opportunity, if you would share with us, that your degrees, and especially your advanced degrees, opened up for you that maybe you wouldn't have otherwise had.
Yeah, and that's a great point. When I graduated and made the decision to start with that technical path, I was working a job that really required me to extend and expand my knowledge of just basic electronics. That's why I chose state tech initially. So it became stair-stepping process for me. I did that, ended up transferring into the University of Memphis. I believe it was Memphis State then, but it led to opportunities at work to advance into leadership. I went from, working as a technician and servicing account bases and installation work and things like that. And it opened up a door for promotion. And that first promotion was as an operations manager. I had folks around me, again, these mentors who would, by the grace of God, they just sort of wrapped their arms around me and helped me to take advantage of these opportunities. First as an operations manager, and I stayed in school, and then it was as a branch manager, and then it was all these things are happening, and all the positivity really netted in good results for me. So it worked out. But that support network is so important. To have the positive voices around you that will encourage you.
And Mark, to add to that, in my career now, I still have mentors. Some of those mentors are older than me, some of them are younger than me, and I try to take the opportunity to mentor professionally and with Tennessee Promise, Tennessee Reconnect, or UT Promise even. So, I try to give back anytime I can, because I've utilized mentors like you, but still do to this day. You're never too old to learn from somebody else.
I love that. And thank you for sharing that, Lindsay and Mark. I think something that I think of often is mentors are built into the Tennessee Achieves program. And when you're in college, it can be somewhat easy sometimes to find mentors through your instructors, your advisors, other people on campus. But I don't know if people often think about, once I've earned my degree and I'm starting in my career, finding mentors as an adult, as a career professional, I think can help open those doors. And, Mark, like you said, people saw that potential in you and mentored you through that after you earned your degrees and as you were building and growing in your career. And Lindsay, I love that you say that you look for those opportunities wherever you are, because I think that's so, so important. And so Alleigh and Cassie, I'd love to ask you a couple questions kind of related to that. I'm seeing even in the chat a few questions popping up about Tennessee Achieves and Tennessee Promise and your mentor. So talking about specifically, Cassie, your time at Southwest Tennessee Community College with Tennessee Promise, what opportunities did you see available to through Tennessee Promise, through Southwest, and how did your mentor help you in that space?
Yeah, so all three of the programs gave me, I feel like, so much resources and everything to help me, and it was really great. I honestly was just like, oh my God, so much. I don't even know where to start. One of the things that I feel like mainly helped me succeed during my time at Southwest is one of my mentors, which works for Tennessee Achieves, Cassie Robertson. She and I still are in contact today, but she really helped me, and she also helped me while I was at Southwest getting into the student ambassador program as well as the orientation leader program. And so those programs really helped me strive and honestly kind of helped me decide what I wanted to do, which was help people, kind of like you, Amy. I want to find a job where I help people, because that's what I did as an ambassador. And I'd say just having Tennessee Promise opened a bunch of doors. Not only was it free, but it helped me feel confident in myself again, because I never really did good in middle and high school. I struggled with school, and so I really didn't have any other choice to go to college, if that makes sense. Like no university would accept me, and community college was pretty much my only choice. And I feel like it was a blessing in disguise, because it has opened so many doors. I wouldn't be at my dream college. I wouldn't be able to even think about going to continue to get a master's degree. So just being able to have Tennessee Promise believe in me and give me the confidence back really helped.
That's awesome. And we're incredibly proud of you. We're so thankful you were part of the program. Glad that you're still connecting with Chastity. We love her. And so she is a great person to have on your side as well. Alleigh, so sort of same question, except you're now at Nashville State and you said that you're planning to move on to Austin Peay. So thinking about Tennessee Promise and your mentor, what were some of the opportunities that have become available to you through those programs?
Yeah, well, just having mentors at hand is an opportunity in itself. I've had an interview with Mr. Ben Sterling, and it was maybe an hour-long interview, and he is so helpful. I would talk to him about my worries and concerns about going to Austin Peay. Like, transferring is a big process if any of you have ever gone through it. So it's kind of scary, but talking to him was really helpful. And my main mentor that I talk to pretty much every other day is Sam Milton. We talk all the time. And what helps me is that going through the whole process, college is scary. I mean, going from high school and having these teachers that you've had for upwards of 4 years, and then just a change is really difficult and it's scary and stressful. So having Sam that I can reach, filling out applications, asking about Tennessee Promise deadlines and all sorts like that. It's just helpful to be able to have someone that I can reach easily. So that's one of the big opportunities that I've found through Tennessee Achieves. And then also just clicking through my email and text messages from him, he'll be like, hey, there's this opportunity for you. Things like the Honor Society that he's like, hey, you might want to check into that. So just things that I maybe wouldn't have been aware of without being in this program. Just having my eyes open to different things that I could, put myself into.
I think that's great. And shout out to Ben and Sam. They're great as well on our staff. We all love being able to talk with our students. So we say it all the time. Always feel free to reach out to us, respond to those emails and text messages that we're sending. We are on the other side of that, excited to help you out. Lindsay, I want to talk a little bit. You're in a really unique position to look at the opportunities that education can afford people from a workforce perspective. And so we know, hearing obviously from each other here today and just sort of the information that's out there, that so many jobs now require some sort of college credential. And with Tennessee launching the Drive to 55 a few years ago, which is the goal of having 55% of Tennesseans, hold some sort of post-secondary credential by the year 2025. And with Tennessee really leading the way in developing programs like Tennessee Promise and Tennessee Reconnect, there's opportunities there. But what does that specifically look like, not just for individuals like we've been talking about, but for a community or a county, and then for the state of Tennessee?
Well, in my role in working at the community level, I love that we are transitioning, and I apologize, the train is out there lurking around. That's commerce right there. But the credential, it's not just about a 4-year degree or a post, something beyond that. The credential is so important, especially in our community. We have jobs, we keep a list of contractors in our office, plumbers and HVAC repair and other maintenance type positions that we are in dire need of. Food processing is a huge industry in our area, and industrial maintenance is a huge piece of that. And where we live, where the cost of living is less expensive than it is in bigger cities and in the state of Tennessee in general, they can come and make $60,000, $70,000 a year, and that'd be a really nice lifestyle. And you can have good quality public education that goes along with those, credentials that you can get at the technical and community college level rather than the 4-year university. Now that in the same breath, you know, those same food processing industries have accountants and HR professionals and other things that do require, you know, a 4-year degree. So I try really hard to connect with young people to make them see the broad scope. I mean, even one of our food processing, we have a Tyson facility. So if you eat McDonald's chicken McNuggets, they probably came from Union City. But they have a chaplain on staff. They have nurses on staff. So, you know, it's such a broad scope when you think about working for a company like Tyson or Williams Sausage. It's not just frontline productivity, but that's where you can always start. You know, to me, I like to know how to do every job within a facility, because I wouldn't want to ask somebody to do something that I'm either not willing to do or haven't done myself. And there's a lot to be said to starting somewhere early and working your way up. And we just try really hard to stay in close connection with our local schools all the way from elementary to high school, because we actually started a mechatronics program that we robbed from Middle Tennessee and Motlow State, and brought it in because it's such an important piece of building, you know, careers for our young people. They can come out of high school and use that level 1 Siemens certification that they received, or they can go on to a College of Applied Technology and do level 2, or go on to MTSU or somewhere and get that level 3. So just being able to build off of those careers, so that if you have a stopgap somewhere and you hit a hurdle, you still have something to use in the meantime until you can take the next level. So there's so many opportunities for connecting.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. One thing that I love that you mentioned is that when you think about these jobs like Tyson, or I know in East Tennessee, we have Nissan and we have Volkswagen. The initial thought is working that front line, working production, and going to a TCAT to earn that technical certificate to be able to jump right into those more hands-on job in that more technical jobs. But these are huge corporations. And so, you know, there's other opportunities other than that, what people maybe initially think. And so the idea that there are on-staff chaplains and nurses on top of HR and accounting and the business portion of it is such a good thing, I think, for our students to hear, for parents to hear, that there are so many opportunities, and some of them unexpected. I think one of the really cool things that I've seen in my life play out is that some of the opportunities and the doors that have been opened for me because I have a degree are not ones that I would have even known about or even pursued for myself. I've said this before, and I sort of laugh. I've been doing this work for 8.5 years. And if you had asked me 8.5 years ago, if I was going to be high school seniors, helping them transition into college and work with them through their first couple years of college to make sure that they have the resources they need and that they can be successful and earn their credential, I would have said, no, that's not anything that has even crossed my radar. I don't think I'd be interested in that. And day one on this job, my mind changed. I fell in love with it immediately. And I love the work that we do. And it was sort of serendipitous when I think about how I even came to know about tnAchieves. After I moved to Tennessee and I was working in a salon. One of the schools I went to was a community college, and I got my cosmetology license. And so I was working in a salon, but knowing that I always wanted to finish my bachelor's degree. And like I said earlier, I didn't know what that would look like. I just know I wanted to help people. And so Johnson University in South Knoxville had a degree completion program in nonprofit management for adults. You could go at night, you took 2 years, and you could finish your bachelor's degree. And I thought, I'll do that. While I'm still working at the salon, I'll have my bachelor's. I don't know what I'll do with it. And the last year of that program, part of the requirements were to get an internship. When I say it was serendipitous, about a month before I had to start looking for an internship, the salon I was working at closed. We shut down. So I was looking for a job. And then a posting for tnAchieves hiring a paid part-time intern for 1 year came across my desk, or came to me from actually my sister. She thought, hey, you might be interested in this. And I applied and I looked into it and I thought, well, if nothing else, it's a job for a year. It's an internship I can use for school and I'll be getting paid. And so I applied and interviewed with Chrissy and Graham and Megan and Jackie on our team. And My first day was with Megan and Jackie at Pellissippi talking with students, and I fell in love with it. This job that I thought would just be to fulfill a graduation requirement wound up being the career that I love. And now I joke with Chrissy that she can't get because I love it. And so that was something unexpected. Like I said, it's something I never would have chosen for myself. But if I didn't decide to pursue my bachelor's, I don't know that tnAchieves would ever have become available to me as a career. And so Lindsay and Mark, I'd love to hear from you about some of those unexpected things in your personal paths, those opportunities that became available.
Yeah, and I love your story, Amy. I think it's amazing how things tend to work out, you know, when you enter in with the right attitude and spirit. You know, for me, I mean, it's been an interesting path. These roles that I mentioned earlier, with coming in and moving into these, you know, various roles. What happens is when you seek opportunities, credentials become important, you know, and your, not just the credentials, but your ability to demonstrate a willingness to dedicate yourself to a thing. In this case, we're talking higher education and learning. Your willingness to demonstrate curiosity and a thirst for knowledge, those skills are transferable, and they move into the organization for which you are being considered and these various roles. So it becomes an important part of what you bring to the table. That happened for me. You know, I had an opportunity to relocate to different cities and manage different parts of the country, regional type positions that required me to travel and go to neat places and see neat things. But those types of roles do require, you know, that you've exhibited that willingness to educate yourself. And there's so many sources, you know, out there for us to learn and you know, to grow in our knowledge base. So I'm excited for Tennessee and what the folks on this call are going to do, you know. And I wish I could, we could see, you know, fast forward 5 years and see where everyone lands.
I'll just say a little bit about the community service aspect of the tnAchieves. You know, I love that because being in the community development side of things, I mean, obviously we're looking for volunteers, but, you know, you can lose yourself in the service of others. And, you know, it can be a nice break from the stress of navigating school and whatnot, but also goes back to that career possibility. I mean, I preach to my 13-year-old all the time, you know, if you're doing something, you're volunteering, or your teacher asks you to do something, you never know who you may be standing next to. You know, that could be your next boss 2 years, 3 years down the road. So, you know, in the volunteer position, you know, I just think it's great to be out in the community because, you know, that thing that they say, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. There's truth to that. I mean, as much as I hate that sometimes and love that at the same time, there's truth to it. And then also people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And the community service aspect of it can kind of tie that together as well. So I just didn't want us to get too far without talking about the importance of giving back in that aspect too.
Thanks, Lindsay. I appreciate that perspective and bringing that up. One of the things that we always encourage our students to do is to job shadow. And pre-COVID, we would host job shadow days at different businesses and industries across Tennessee. And we've had some really cool things happen from those experiences. Students thought they were just going to be able to knock out their 8 hours in one day and you know, learn a little bit more about how this company works or what it's like to be in Hilton or Blue Cross and Blue Shield or many of our partners who have opened their doors. But we've had students who have found that the place that they were touring was really matching with what they wanted to do. We've had students start internships at places that they've shadowed for community service. They've connected, like you said, with future bosses, and they've gotten their foot in the door in the career that they want to have while they're still completing their degree. And so those connections that you can make in college, I think, are so important. And that community service is such a great way to do it. Advice that I've heard all growing up, and I still hear it even as a professional adult, is be open to networking. And really, like you said, you don't know who you're standing next to. Even if it's not your future boss, it's someone who can connect you to that next thing, or you can connect someone else to an opportunity through your connections, through people that you know, and that can help change their life, change their opportunities. You think of our theme, better opportunities, brighter future, for this month. There's just so many ways that I think higher education and a college credential can provide opportunities that are, like we mentioned, unexpected. And Cassie and Alleigh, I'd like to throw something to you guys. I would love to hear your experience with community service through tnAchieves. What was it like for you? What were some of the options that you did for community service, and how did it help you either narrow down what you do or don't want to do, or find connections for your career?
So community service was one of the big things that I was stressed about. There's so many opportunities that you wouldn't even imagine. So my first step in doing community service was finding a school that would let me come in and grade papers, or, do whatever I could just to be able to do my community service, but have it count for something else than just 8 hours. I've, satisfied a deadline. Like, I wanted it to count more than just that. So what I would do is, I've got a lot of contacts through the school system, which I'm lucky to have, but most of it is because I still live where I went to high school. So I'll just contact old teachers and just be, just say, hey, I have this deadline. I'd love to come in and help you in any way that I can. So that also helps get your name in whatever position you want to be in. So whether it's education, or whether it's a workforce, or, whatever your plan is, going out and just doing your community service there is one of the first steps in just being a familiar face in that setting. Mm-hmm. So, I would volunteer at the high school, the middle school, which is where I want to teach. I did some elementary school stuff. And then also with COVID being, a thing now, we also had opportunities to do things online. So I thought that was amazing. I was really worried about that with deadlines that first semester that, everything got shut down. So with tnAchieves and Tennessee Promise, being so lenient and saying, here, these are some opportunities that we're going to give you because we know it's hard right now. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was such a huge thing, that, we're more than just students. We're people that this program wants to see succeed, and that everyone a part of that program is going to help you get there. So I thought that was really cool. And that's one of the things that anytime I'm talking about tnAchieves, I'm like, they're going to help you. They're going to make sure that you get where you need to be. And I think that's one of the admiring things about this program.
Oh, I love to hear that, Alleigh.
I'll echo that as a mentor. You all have been tremendous in being helpful to us, trying to mentor students and being able to navigate and answer and get accustomed to the process. It truly is, that holistic wraparound service that you and your team provide. So anybody that may be considering being a mentor, or recommending it to others, there is a system in place, and if they can't answer the question, they definitely know where to find somebody that can. So that makes it a whole lot easier in signing up and going out and recruiting other mentors for the program.
That's awesome. Thank you, Lindsay and Alleigh, both of you, for saying that. Alleigh, I love that you went and asked questions and you went and asked for connections. I think one of the hardest things I know for me as a student, but for a lot of students, is saying, I need help, is raising your hand, is talking to a professor, not only academically, but just, I'm not sure of next steps. Cassie, you and I talked a little bit about not knowing what you want to major in. And There's so many resources available, but Alleigh, that you said that you just asked questions. You went back to your high school and you asked for help. You asked for those connections and those opportunities. That is a huge part of what can make people successful. And especially at this time where there's so much to do, like you said, there's a lot going on. COVID has made it harder. Make sure that you're reaching out and asking, like Lindsay and Alleigh said, to everyone listening. tnAchieves is always ready to answer questions, help you connect. We want to be there to help you be successful. So don't ever be afraid to reach out. But Cassie, I'd love to hear from you, your experience with community service, and then maybe share a little bit, if you wouldn't mind, what we were talking about before we went live about your uncertainty about what you want to do in choosing a major. I think that'll be important for people to hear as well.
Yeah, so it's crazy to think that I was in community college 2 years ago and I'm a senior undergrad, but before pre-COVID and everything, I had actually done one of the job shadowings with tnAchieves, and then the other 8 hours I was at the animal shelter because I just love playing with animals. But with the job shadowing, I thought it was actually very helpful. I did it with the Hilton hotel. I believe it was with like hotel management and whatnot. And I honestly, to be quite honest, like at first I was like, all right, it's 8 hours, like let's get it done. I've already have a lot of schoolwork to do and everything. But at the end of it, I was like, I think this is actually something I'd be interested in doing. So it ended up being, oh, let me get my 8 hours. Just like I assume most of 95% of the students, if we're being honest, was like, hey, let's just get these 8 hours out of the way, because I was one of those. And now I hope that when people go into that, they come out of it like I did, considering maybe, oh, this is something maybe I want to do, or even if it's not that specific job title, maybe something in that industry, you know? And so I thought that was really interesting. And then to answer your other question about not really knowing what to do, I still really don't know what to do. I know that I will be pursuing my master's in management. So I do know I want to go into the marketing or sales field, maybe international business. But my parents, family, like friends, even my mentors are like, Cassie, like, what do you want to do? And it's just like, I still don't know. I don't know what job title I want to do. I just know I want to go down that field and help people, but I'm hoping that grad school will help me decide exactly what I want to do. And if not, then I don't know what I'm going to do. I probably just like pick and choose and like see what's best for me. But also, you know, going back to what the other panelists said is, you know, asking questions, making sure you reach out for help. I still am in contact, even though I'm 700 miles away. I'm still in contact with Chastity. I'm still in contact with my Southwest mentors and recruiters. And I honestly call them my family members, because they're not only there to help me with school, but, you know, they're like, hey, how's life going? You know, it's not just about making sure you're reaching the deadlines, making sure, you know, you're making A's or whatnot. It's making sure you're actually doing okay as a person, as well as succeeding in school and as in your career. And so that is actually one of the reasons why I signed up to be a mentor for tnAchieves this upcoming year, because I want to be one of those mentors that brings a light to someone's eyes and gives them inspiration, even if it's just one person at a time. I'd love to do that because my mentors have done that for me. And also being a student ambassador and helping and teaching people about Tennessee Promise really helped me know that this program is amazing, not only for students that are first gen or students that have family and friends that have gone to college and whatnot, but just like for everyone to know that, you know, whatever your background, you're not alone. There's so many people behind you. And even if you don't have, you know, close people around you, being able to be a part of tnAchieves, Tennessee Promise, be in that community college or whatever technical school you're going to be in, just those few seconds of saying, hey, I don't know really what I want to do, but can you help me? So many people are there to help you. They're waiting for you to say, hey, I need help. So I think that's just one thing that I'd like to really emphasize for students that are like, I don't really, whether they're going to community college or state or, transferring, like Alleigh said, it's a huge adjustment. It's scary. We're, non-traditional students that are a little bit older and maybe going back to school. It's like, don't worry, like, yeah, it's scary, but there are people like us, the panelists, as well as everyone that works for tnAchieves, etc., that we're here for you. So.
Well, Cassie and Alleigh, I don't think anybody at tnAchieves could have ever said it any better. I appreciate you both sharing your perspectives and the impact that not only tnAchieves and your colleges and your families have had, but the idea that you guys are also starting to think about giving back. Cassie, I love that you've signed up to be a mentor now for tnAchieves because of your experience. And I think your honesty in sharing that, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And Alleigh, that you are a student that has known for most of her life what she wants to do. And then with Mark and Lindsay sharing your experiences on how, you worked your way from this technical instruction to leadership and management, and you've earned those degrees and you've really gained that experience. A lot of it sounds like sort of on the job and as you were going through the process. And Lindsay, that hunger for being able to be part of anything, knowing from start to finish how it works and how you could step in and help. And I think that's something that when we think again about these opportunities, higher education really does afford so many different ways to connect and to learn and to give back. And so I think each of you sharing your experiences and your stories is so helpful for our students to hear, for our mentors to hear, to know where our students are coming from as they're starting to work with our new class of 21 cohort, and maybe feeling a little nervous about how to communicate with students or how to direct students. I don't think anybody has to have it all together and know all the answers to be able to guide someone and to help them through, to point them in the right direction, to be an encouragement. And so thank you all for sharing. I think we're going to jump into questions in just a couple of minutes, but I'd love each of you guys to share one last either piece of advice or encouragement for either students or mentors who are a little bit earlier on the path. You're a little bit ahead of the path on them, or anything else that you'd share with us about the opportunities that you've been afforded, or advice that you'd like to share. So Cassie, we'll start with you and then we'll go through and end on Mark. How about that?
Can we come back to me? I gotta think of something real quick. I have like a lot. I don't want to like overdo it, so sorry.
Sure. Absolutely. Alleigh, how about you? You feel you're in a good spot?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. One of my big pieces of advice is don't be afraid to get involved. There are so many opportunities, like we've talked about, through community service and stuff like that. Don't do something just because you feel like you need to do it. Don't go and volunteer at a place that you know that you're not going to like. Find something that you think might help you make a decision. Like how Cassie said she was not sure. And, getting into a field that she wasn't really familiar with, that helped her, identify that, hey, I like, business management. I like this sort of industry. So she has built on that. So I think that's really cool from her story. And then also, if you have a plan for yourself after college, like I do, getting into those fields will help you, either clarify, yes, this is exactly what I'm built for. This is what I want to do until I retire someday. Or it'll turn you in the absolute opposite direction and say, this is not what I'm cut out for. I can do better than this. It'll help you find those guidelines for yourself of what your future holds for you. But that is my biggest piece of advice. And then another side note to that is that you have so many people, like we've talked about in this panel. There's so many people that are prepared to just listen. So, and it doesn't have to be about school. It doesn't have to be about whatever you're doing for school. It can be about life changes. You're starting a new job that you're worried about, can you help me practice for this interview? I mean, there's so many different opportunities just within Tennessee Achieves that are so worth it. So those are my two key pieces of advice for anyone starting out.
I ended up in the job that I'm in now by volunteering. I was just that person that had yes on my forehead. You asked me to do it. Yes, I'll do it. So I was volunteering and just, I didn't even know what a chamber of commerce was. Most young people, a lot of people just don't. So my advice to students, mentors, and the like is find out where your local chamber of commerce is or economic development organization is. They are the connecting point, the hub in the wheel of the community. They can help you. We keep a list of clubs and organizations. So on the community service side, we can give you ideas for where to go, who to connect with. And then on the internship side or the job opportunity side, we work with all the businesses, large and small, entrepreneurs, schools, healthcare, everything. I mean, I ran into a person that owns a major industry in the community dropping off his grandkids at school. And he said, I have 136 openings right now. So we can help. And in Tennessee, we have a very strong network of chambers and economic development organizations. So if you don't know where to start, call me. I will be glad to put you in the right direction. Because just don't be afraid to ask, show up, talk to them, because we're in the people business. We're in the people connecting business. And we have to love people and love our community to do what we do. So wherever you are, reach out to your local chamber of commerce or economic development organization, because they'll be able to help you and connect you for sure.
So I will echo the sentiment of being willing to ask for help and be bold. Folks are always willing to help. People like to help. But beyond that, I'd say that we know that we live in a world where change happens. We make decisions and we think we're going to go down a certain path. That happens. That's okay. When that happens, the one thing that higher education gives you is the ability to absorb those changes and to pivot in a way where you come out, on the positive side of that. So my biggest advice, I guess, set of advice would be to know that you don't have to know everything now. There's no one who knows. We're not fortune tellers, but you want to make those decisions now that put you in a position where you have options as you continue to progress through your education and your career and through your lives. And that curiosity, that drive to learn is really, what's going to give you joy as you continue through these processes. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, I think I know now.
Okay.
Even though everyone echoed what I wanted to touch on, but I think maybe for my personal advice that I was given was just don't be scared. I know it's very scary, but sometimes you just have to take that leap of faith. And even if that leap of faith puts you in a direction that, oh, maybe I don't want to do this anymore, at least you can cross it off your list. It's like, hey, I don't have to waste my time doing it anymore. That's kind of what I mean. I had an internship in real estate. I thought I wanted to do real estate. Now I'm not really sure, but I took that leap of faith. It's like, okay, now I can mark that off. Now I can find something else that I want to do. So really taking that leap of faith, and then you could take that leap of faith and find out hey, this is actually what I love to do. And so that you can mark everything else off and you can be like, hey, I actually want to do this. So, saving yourself a bit of time. And then also a main thing, I don't know if this sounds cliche, but really just having supportive and positive people around you, because it really does make a difference. You can't do I feel like you cannot have the drive that you want to have unless you have those people behind you that are supporting you, because if you have that negativity, that's going to bring you down. That's going to make you not want to believe in yourself. But I've had amazing support, not only from my family, tnAchieves, just like everyone. And that has made me want to do better, because I know that not only I'm doing this for me, but I'm making sure that I'm also doing it for them to keep that smile on their face. You know, I don't want to let them down anymore. Well, not anymore. Like, hopefully I didn't let them down, but I don't want to let them down. I don't want to let myself down. And so having that positive feedback and just people in my corner, I think really helps. And that's why I also love that tnAchieves has that mentorship, because I want to be that person in your corner. If you don't have people in your corner, we all want to be that person in your corner. And that's what the mentors are for, to be in your corner when no one else is there for you.
That was so great. Well, thank you all. Lindsay, I just saw you unmute. What would you like to add?
No, I was just going to say, I've done a lot of work, you know, with middle schoolers and talking about careers and what, and we always will end up saying gratitude impacts your attitude and your attitude impacts your aptitude. And it just really all truly does go back to finding and losing yourself in the service of others and where you find your joy. And then, you know, that's the key to everything. It's just starting and being thankful and grateful and pushing through the fears and the intimidation. And then once you get through the hard stuff, that brings a whole nother level of gratefulness too as well. So, you know, as I tell the middle schoolers, gratitude to attitude to aptitude.
I love that. I love that. Gratitude to attitude to aptitude. That's a good one to end on. I think that's really great. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate your time and your insights and sharing your experiences. It has been incredible just to hear from each of you. So thank you again for your time. I think we have just a couple minutes for questions. I know we want to wrap up right around the half hour. So if we, Graham, if we have any questions in the chat or anything that we need that we can answer, I think we've got a few minutes.
Hey guys, I think that you did a really good job covering most of them throughout the panel. So I think it looks like most of the things, there are a lot of questions about community service that you all hit on. One question I think maybe for Cassie and Alleigh might be a good way to wrap us was someone earlier had asked ways that tnAchieves has helped you or ways that your mentors have helped you. You've kind of covered all that, but any final parting thoughts maybe?
I would just like to add that, you know, my first year at Nashville State, I had a different mentor. But during that transition from Lauren to Sam, it was like they didn't miss a beat. It was like they transferred the information, like, here's everything you need to know about Alleigh. This is how you need to help her. So I think it's more, I just would like to echo that it's more than just a job. They're like your family. They're gonna support you with what you do. I recently went through a job change, and that was kind of big for me because I worked at the place for 3 years before that. So talking to Sam, I was like, you know, I hope this is the right thing. I think this is good for me. And so now every time we speak with each other, he's like, how's work? You know, how's life? Has anything changed? So I think just having the friendship part of having you and your mentor, you know, discussing things that you may be worried about or concerned or just happy with in general, that kind of helps with, you know, keeping up with how you're doing in school, because your outside life is just as important as your school life. So.
Then Cassie, did you want to add to that?
No, I didn't have anything to add. I think Alleigh put everything very well.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you guys again for being here. Everyone who participated to view, we appreciate you taking your time and all of your chats. I could see some of it popping up. I know that there were a lot of really positive takeaways from everything that our panelists shared today. So thank you all again for participating and sharing your insights. We appreciate you. And we will be back again next month with a new topic around Find Your Why. So we hope everyone can join us then, and have a great afternoon. Thank you.